and mine's going to be probably a little bit shorter because a lot of the stuff that the skippers are thinking about we're going to go over in more detail later on. So stuff like what you should be thinking about starting and tactically going up the course. We're going to go into a lot of detail on that. And so what I'm going to go through is just real basics on the boat. So the first thing to go over, I know it seems simple, but we have a lot of people that are either new to skippering or are crewing right now and may move up to skippering. So where you should be in the boat and what you should be doing. So the skipper is, what may seem obvious to most of us, is holding the tiller and the main sheet, and they're sitting, behind the crew, obviously. But in a 420 for us, you want your legs are going to be about straddling the traveler bar by the centerboard, and your crew is just in front of you. So you're pretty far forward. You're usually further forward than you think you want to be. And when you tack in a 420, it's important that you keep your weight forward as you go through the tack. If you slide backwards, as I have a bad habit of doing, you can tip the back corner into the water, and you get water in, and then your crew's bailing, and they're not happy with you. So weight placement, also part of that is hiking, and you should be, Ryan's a perfect example of the classic comfy hiking, which, as everybody knows, is not actually hiking at all. So this is really a balance between the skipper and the crew. Personally, I prefer to be hiking before the crew is, because when I'm skippering, if I hike out, then I get a better view of out in front of the boat and sail trim and stuff. And I feel like I can feel the boat better when I'm hiking out. So I'll tell my crews to sit in the boat and let me hike first. It's more typical, I think, that the crew will get. The skipper will sit on the rail, and then the crew will adjust themselves to keep the boat flat until both people are hiking. So the first one out fully extended hiking will be the crew, and then the skipper hikes out more as needed until it's really breezy and both of you are fully out. So part of that too is it's really important for the skippers to be communicating with their crew the whole time. I do a really terrible job of this when I'm in dinghies, and I do a slightly better job on big boats. But it's important that you realize that you're the only one making the decisions in the back of the boat. And if you decide suddenly you want to tack, you need to let your crew know that, otherwise it's not going to be a good tack. So, work with them. They're going to be feeding you information the entire time, and so make sure you let them know what you want, what you need, what's working and what's not working, and just constant talking back and forth, making the boat go fast. When you're sailing upwind as a skipper, there should be kind of about three things that you're constantly looking at. You should be looking at for your mark. So before the start, you're going to be finding the boat and the pin, and you want to know exactly where those are. When you're sailing upwind, you want to know where the upwind mark is, all that. So you need to know where you're going around the course. The next thing you're going to be looking at that's really important is sail trim. So when you're not looking at the mark or thinking about where you're going to be going, you need to be checking your sails constantly. Obviously the wind changes a lot, and you need to be trimmed appropriately for all the times. So between you and your crew, the skipper will have to trim the main, the crew's obviously trimming the jib, and you need to work together to make sure that they're both trimmed all the time. And then finally, you should be looking at the other boats on the course. So again, as Kirsten said, the crew is, one of their important jobs is to let you know where the other boats are. If you're on port tack and someone else is coming on starboard and you're going to have to get out of their way, you need to know where that boat is. Likewise, if you're a lot slower or you're sailing on a reach off to the wrong mark and your crew notices that, they need to be telling you that, and you need to understand where you are in the fleet. So, when I'm sailing, I'm always thinking about my big plan for the race, so the tactics and stuff in my head, and then I'm just constantly looking between, looking in front of the boat and seeing the wind and the mark, and then up my sails to check the trim, and then look around for other boats, and then just keep cycling through those things. Also, when it comes to communication with your crews, that also carries over to team racing. It's important that you're communicating with the other skippers on your team. So we'll get into way more detail with this later, but it's just important that everyone on your team knows what's going on. So whether it's your crew or the other skippers on your team, everybody on a big boat, everybody needs to be on the same page. Otherwise, it's just not going to work out the way you want it to. All right. So basics: upwind sailing. So the skipper's trimming the main, and they're going to be doing. You need to be upwind, trimming the sail in all the way. In a 420, you can pretty much crank it in all the way. And then along with that, you're playing the Cunningham. You or your crew is playing the Cunningham and the Vang and the outhaul. So those are your 3 sail controls. Okay, so very important distinction. So these are your 3 sail controls. Basically, the Cunningham, if you have your main, the Cunningham attaches here and pulls the sail straight down at the front, and the outhaul pulls it back like that. The Vang pulls down here, but it's really tightening the back of your sail. So the Cunningham is going to be used, all 3 of these are basically used to depower. The Cunningham especially will depower your sail because it makes it a lot flatter. The Vang isn't, so the Cunningham depowers and flattens your sail. The Vang adjusts the tension on the back of the sail. So, and that's important because depending on the breeze, you may want to be spilling more wind out of the top of your sail, so you heel over a little bit less and you're more in control. If it's light wind, you can put it on and keep the top closed. It's basically, as long as you know that that's what the Vang controls when you're using it, that's what I'd like you to understand tonight. It's kind of complicated, but basically, you don't want your sail up. If you look up, you don't want your sail like spilling out, and you don't want it really tight. So if this is the boom, and you're looking like forward at the boat, you want a nice balance between having your sail look like that and having your sail look like that. So this would be too much Vang because the back end of the sail is like curling, and this is too little because it's spilling out. The outhaul is used to adjust the power in your sail. That's usually dependent on the waves. So if you have more waves, then you can let it out a little bit. It'll give you like a deeper sail. So if you're looking from the top and there's the mast, that's your boom. If you have less outhaul on and it's looser, your sail will look like that more. And then if it's tighter, the sail will be flatter and it'll just look like that along the bottom. So this is really powerful, but in light air, it's too slow. You don't need that much power. It depends on the waves. So most of the time you'll be sailing with your outhaul pretty tight. Okay. So I did it out of order, but whatever.